Call to order the Special Capital Improvement Program Committee. We have several items on this agenda. We'll go ahead and go into discussion item number 1.
Discussion item 1 is discussion consideration of approving the minutes of the February 23rd, 2016 meeting as submitted.
Move to approve.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Next order.
Next item is just an information item which talks about the current funding availability in the Capital Improvement Project Fund 157. In this year's budget, there's approximately $955,000 of unappropriated funds, additional revenue into this account which comes primarily through an earmarked capital improvement sales tax of $0.25 penny goes into the fund, and it's basically what remains after debt service on the hotel and the conference center, and then also some additional funding from the from building permit related activity. So it kind of shows you how much money you have to work with. So no action is necessary on that item.
No action necessary. Go into the next discussion item.
Next item is discussion consideration of entering into and approving an agreement to perform traffic engineering services for the City of Midwest City in the amount of $30,700 for the preparation of construction plans for the construction of traffic signals at Orchard/Douglas Boulevard intersection and at Air Depot Railroad Crossing pedestrian. Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is discussion consideration of a request to fund the construction of approximately 250 feet of public drainage improvements in the 1300 block of Pine Ridge Road at the approximate amount of $10,000 to serve properties located in the Pine Ridge and Three Oaks subdivisions located in Section 1, Township 11 North, Range 2 West in Midwest City. The proposed item addresses an ongoing drainage problem affecting the properties located in the Pine Ridge and Three Oaks subdivisions. The 1305 Pine Ridge Road property is the focal point of overland drainage through the backyards of both this property and the adjacent properties located to the east. This drainage runoff collects along an existing brick fence on the north property line, directing the water west, causing erosion. Staff has had an on-site meeting with the citizens of the area of request and has obtained a drainage easement allowing the city to address the problem by constructing a concrete drainage flume drainage system. The improvement would begin along the above-mentioned east property line and run west to the drain into an existing flume, helping direct the water to the Three Oaks Circle Drive. Estimated cost to construct this drainage improvement is approximately $10,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Next item.
This is discussion consideration of a request to fund the construction of approximately 650 feet of public drainage improvement in the 9,000 block of Southeast 6th Street at the approximate amount of $100,000 to serve properties located in the Canales Douglas Boulevard addition located in Section 1, Township 11 North, Range 2 West, Midwest City. The proposed item addresses an ongoing drainage problem affecting the intersection of Southeast 6th and Margine, located in the Canales Douglas Boulevard subdivision. Over time, the intersection has settled to the point that runoff can no longer drain south to the existing gutter line. The standing water has become a nuisance for vehicles and the adjacent property owners. Staff has had on-site meetings with the citizens of the area and obtained a drainage easement allowing the city to address the problem by constructing an underground drainage system. The improvement would begin at the intersection and would extend west to drain into the existing drainage system that runs along Douglas Boulevard. Estimated cost is approximately $100,000.
Make a motion to approve based on funds available during this year.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is discussion consideration of a request to fund the construction of approximately 1,000 feet of public drainage improvements and 1,000 feet of public half-street improvements along the western half of 900 to 1,200 block of Caldwell Drive at the approximate amount of $100,000 to serve properties located along Caldwell Drive, located in Section 1, Township 11 North, Range 2 West in Midwest City. The proposed item further addresses the ongoing drainage problem affecting residents along the northern corridor of Caldwell Drive. The property along Caldwell Drive has developed in small increments over time without any improvements being done to the road itself. The street is still unimproved along this area, having no curb, and is being drained by bar ditches. Large rain events cause the bar ditches to overflow, impacting the west side of the road. In this case, we should have had the other agenda item first, so we're going to have to, maybe we deal with these together. The previous agenda item will allow the city to address the problem by constructing an underground drainage system that would extend north off of the east end of Caldwell and along the east side of the road to capture water that currently utilizes the bar ditch. The previous item would also include half-street improvements to the east side of Caldwell. The companion item would allow for half-street improvements to the west side of Caldwell and an underground drainage system to replace the bar ditch. Estimated cost of this improvement is $100,000. I'd like to go ahead and jump onto the east side Caldwell drainage project and try to address that at the same time here. This is discussion consideration of a request to fund the construction of approximately 600 feet of public drainage improvements and 350 feet of public half-street improvements along the eastern half of the 900 to 1,000 block of Caldwell Drive at an approximate amount of $180,000 to serve properties located along Caldwell Drive, located in Section 1, Township 11 North, Range 2 West, Midwest City. The proposed item addresses an ongoing drainage problem affecting residents located along the northern corridor of Caldwell Drive. Over time, the area has developed in a piecemeal fashion that has never addressed drainage along the corridor. It has also left Caldwell Drive in a condition that is not to city street standards. Staff has had meetings, on-site meetings with the citizens of the area and has obtained a drainage easement allowing the city to address the problem by constructing an underground drainage system and road improvements. The improvement will begin at the end of the curb north of Southern Oaks Drive and then extend north along the east side of Caldwell, continuing north to Soldier Creek Tributary 6. Estimated cost is approximately $180,000. Part of this proposal includes 250 feet of drainage improvement that would connect the end of Caldwell Drive to Soldier Creek Tributary 6 concrete channel. Following the property owner's condition to granting the easement, staff is proposing a 36-inch diameter pipe connecting these points. A concrete channel connecting these points was also considered, but after review, it offered no cost savings as savings to this part of the project and was met by the objections of the property owner. The property owner wished the underground improvement so as to minimize impact to the tree canopy along this stretch of the property.
Okay, guys, that's the second picture that was shown upstairs that he handed out. Patrick, just so I'm clear, the only way that we got the easement that we needed is that the property owner that you dealt with had some specific requirements on the type of drainage that she was going to allow to pass through her property. Is that correct?
That's correct, Councilman. She was specific that any improvement on her property would need to be an underground extension of the storm system, and it had to have a minimal impact on the tree canopy on her property.
Okay, based off of that, I make a motion to approve this in specific to the fact that we adhere to the letter on what this property owner gave us permission to enter her property.
I got a question too, on actually these last three, I guess four. Now, are all these improvements in city easements we have right away? Is any of this money being spent where it's not in our easement?
No, it's either in our right-of-way or in an easement.
Even on the one with the wall, the first one?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And the aerial that you have in the agenda item kind of shows, so the green is the Caldwell West project, and the red is the Caldwell East project. Is that correct, Patrick?
That's correct, sir.
And so,
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this, on these two items?
And I have a clarification, and this one also is subject to the funds availability, as Councilman Brown stated in the previous motion, correct?
Correct.
Next year's budget.
Well, it's based on funds available.
Right,
Correct.
sorry.
Do I need to read do the motion?
I think we're good.
You good?
Okay.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstention? There are no further discussion items for this agenda, and we are hereby adjourned. I call to order the Midwest City
Same, man.
Council agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Midwest City Council version August 8th, 2017. Call this meeting to order. I want to ask that you stand and invite Mr. Sullivan down to lead us in prayer. Also, Councilman Allen will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you bow with me, please? Gracious Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day that we've had to enjoy. Father, we thank you for the rain that we've enjoyed over the last few days and the cooler temperatures. We give you glory and honor for that blessing. Father, we thank you for these men and women and this occasion that we have to conduct the city's business tonight. Father, ask you to be with them, guide their decisions. Father, give them peace about the decisions that they make tonight. Father, I thank you so much for this great nation, this great state, the freedoms we enjoy. Father, most of all, we thank you so much for those who are willing to sacrifice to continue to enjoy these freedoms. Give them peace and safety as they're away, their families as well, as they sacrifice time away from them as well. Thank you for the ultimate freedom we enjoy from sin through the blood that your Son shed on our behalf on the cross. Thank you, Jesus, for being willing to go. It's in your holy name I ask these favors. Amen.
Pledge the allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Are there any community-related announcements on the horseshoe that we need to pass on?
I have a community-related announcement. There's a car wash this Saturday starting at 10 a.m. that benefits Midwest City High School cross-country team and the Monroney cross-country team. It's going to be held at Monroney Middle School. So if y'all need your car washed, please head out there. And I have a second one that I forgot to mention earlier, which was there was an article in the news about a credit card skimmer machine found at one of our local gas stations. Please be sure that you're checking those to see if there's any loose connection before you insert your credit card or go inside. People are getting hit with it every day, so just as a cautionary warning.
Last weekend, our Neighborhood Services Division, headed by Mike Stroh and all the code enforcement guys and girls in the Neighborhood Initiative, conducted a drive to collect school supplies for the schools in our jurisdictional area. It's conducted at Office Depot on the 29th Street and also Walmart on 23rd Street. And again, Mike, thanks for all the efforts of your folks down in your division, and we collected a lot of school supplies, and again, once they get them all sorted out and they'll be equally distributed to all the schools in our jurisdictional area. And this is a big help, as you can probably tell. Any help the schools can get from us, it's greatly appreciated. And after participating in that last year and helping delivering those to the schools, the students really love it too. So thanks for all the efforts. And that effort was started by Mike's folks down on their own. And last year was very successful, and this year will probably be as well. So thanks again, Mike, for all that you guys do down there. Any further announcements? Anything?
Let me, Mr. Streets? Well, I assume that our Labor Day sanitation collection will occur on Wednesday, as will recycling. So for the Labor Day weekend, for that Monday of Labor Day, our sanitation service, if you have sanitation service, will on Monday will occur on Wednesday, as will the recycling. And looks like Mike may have an announcement too, so I'll let him go, and then I've asked Kay to get up and give you a quick briefing as well.
I'd just like to say that Midwest City Police CAO Division and also our fire department came out and helped us, and it was a huge, huge success for their help. So thanks to them, and thanks to all the residents who contributed. So appreciate it.
You bet, Mike.
So
Thank you.
Kay's got a little update on our app.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. I wanted to give you an update on the status of our My MWC app. You were notified by me several days ago, and even previous to that we were having a glitch with some folks downloading our new app. You get to a download point, you get so far, and then you get to a point where you're unable to download it. And this seems to be a problem that is isolated to iPhones, and folks with Androids and Google type phones are still able to download the app successfully. I've been in virtually daily contact with our ad developer, Civic Plus, and they have isolated the problem. They know what the problem is. They're in the process of fixing it. Then they ran into a situation with Apple, which is very bizarre, but the situation is that if they take the existing app off and fix it, Apple's not going to let them put it back on. So they are working through issues with Apple, and I know that sounds crazy, doesn't it? But here it says, on good authority, that's what's happening. Nonetheless, they're working through the issues with Apple and have told me that the goal, and they feel very confident about this, is that they will have everything worked out, not only with our app, but with working with Apple by the end of August. One of the things I asked them was, should we take our app down, because it's frustrating to citizens, and I've heard from a few that when they're unable to download, it is a frustrating scenario. And Civic Plus's recommendation is that we not take the app down, because it is functioning for people that have already downloaded. And like I said, it is functioning for people that are trying to download it via Android or Google. So I believe that will be my recommendation, giving Civic Plus the next 2 to 3 weeks to get everything resolved. I will stay in constant contact with them, if you will, every couple of days or so. And if we see that there are additional issues, then we'll deal with those as they come about. But that would be my recommendation. So thank you for letting me fill you in, as well as the citizens that might be watching this broadcast this evening. And I am posting every few days on our social media about the situation and asking people, begging for their mercy, to not get too frustrated and annoyed by this situation. So anyone have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So, any further announcements on the horseshoe? If not, we'll move into our consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the city council by unanimous consent can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of all council members or the members of the audience wishing to discuss an item, it will be removed and heard in regular order.
Move to approve the consent agenda. If,
Let her finish.
Um,
She had a speech all prepared.
with the exception of item number 10, which Councilman Reed asked to pull from the
Second.
council.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? We will discuss item number 10.
This is discussion consideration of one, forming a committee, council committee to assist with possible construction or reconstruction of an animal welfare center, and two, appointing council members Susan Eads, Sean Reed, and Pat Byrne.
So, I am not in any way, shape, or form educated enough or capable of making these decisions. So while the three of us, as the way it presently sits, would sit on this committee, how are we going to determine exactly what's needed? What input are we going to get from whom? And how are we going to be able to make an informed decision on something that I don't think the three of us really know anything
Well, at the
about?
time that I moved for this, and it was my idea to form this committee, it was to include members of the community who focus on animal welfare as subject matter experts. So we can either include them formally in the formation of the committee, or we could invite them to attend and present and give their input. I think the point was to have 3 voting members of the council be on the committee and not give a vote to the other members. That's the way that I understood the committee was going to function.
And that's correct. And to kind of answer your concerns, Councilman Reed, and we discussed this, we've got a lot of folks in the community. We've got several vets that operate animal hospitals here in town, and if anybody's a subject matter expert on disease prevention in canines and felines, they are, and know how to, and they can advise us on the composition of materials and things of that nature. We can add Adrian on in an advisory capacity to help us through how many kennels and what kind of traffic that we have through our facility, and to also plan for the future. Also, that's also contingent on whether or not our community partners such as Choctaw, Forest Park, and those want to get on board, or do we address the needs of just our city. And then lastly, obviously reach out to the rescue groups that are involved in this, and they can get their input. And it would be a collective environment, but only the 3 of you taking that information on board, then make a decision and bring it back to the council. And we do have a study that was done in 2014 that kind of gives us a roadmap on how to proceed, and some of the nice things and some of the things that we may not need. So
In an advisory capacity like Adrian, I think one of our people who volunteers often should probably sit on an advisory to help us with that as well.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Is it Janet Baller?
Janet Beller would be my
No,
suggestion.
I've not talked to her. I know she might be watching this tonight going, what did you guys just get me into? But something along those lines, because, and I got a lot of calls, emails, and comments about the structure of this committee.
Sure.
And that's the only reason I pulled it. I'm for the committee. But I just wanted to make sure that we got out to the public how it was going to be done, and how I was going to be educated to be able to make an informed decision.
Well, and thanks for doing that. I mean, it did need to be discussed and clarified for everybody involved. And also our meetings, Councilman Burns been involved in a couple of committees, as have you, over the year, and they're announced in accordance with state statutes and put it on our website, so everybody will have ample opportunity to come up and participate just like they do in council. So.
And I agree with everything Sean and Susan have said too, because we have an opportunity to do something very good. We don't need to do it as a Band-Aid. We need to fix it right and do it right the first time, instead of 5 years from now when we may be gone, people are coming back saying, well, they kind of didn't do this right, and this is what they shortcut it, or they did anything. And we have an opportunity to fix it. And not saying anything wrong with, because what they have now, when they built it, was state of the art. You know, back then, the adoption deals weren't that big of a deal. It's changed, and the adoption and the rescue groups are a key component of it, and they need to be involved in it from the get-go, because if you go to Oklahoma City's animal welfare and look at the dogs, you're looking at rescuing a dog in a whole lot better environment than what we're having our people go out and look at dogs at now. And we need to, that's hopefully where we'll go.
And, you know, even if you look at Oklahoma City's facility, although it's rather large, it's also been piecemeal together and fixed and Band-Aid, and we want to avoid that as well. So y'all got a huge task ahead of you.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hawk.
1302 South Caldwell Drive. So my understanding is that you're going to say it's formed with 3 council members and to the council members to invite.
So the meetings will be
Input.
open to the public, so anybody that wants to come can come. Anybody that wants to have their ideas put forth can have their ideas put forth. But go ahead.
No, I'm going to say I wholeheartedly agree, though, that nor am I. I've had some experience many years ago in Norman when they put their shelter together, but I think Adrian, as example, or there's a lot of people in the community much more experienced than us that could give us some good input. I can't pull their names out right this moment, but I think we could address those folks or ask, do you want to be?
Charles, you want to volunteer your wife?
Okay.
Fred,
But
my hope would be that the 3 of us, with the input from as many citizens it wants to, can come up with some different options. And then the 3 of us together are not making that decision. That's just a committee to bring our research back to the whole council. Because we'll do the legwork, we'll bring it back to them and say, hey, this is what our options are. This is A, this is B. A's better than B, or C's better than both.
Right.
Then it's up to everybody on this horseshoe to decide, based on the funding, where we're gonna go.
Right.
All we're doing is we're bringing this information together, doing the legwork, then we're bringing it back, and hopefully we'll present it to the council saying, this is what our options are.
Right.
And I'd like to make sure that the committee, when we come up with a option and/or options, that we actually present it to the rest of the council in open, plenty of time so everybody can look at it and think about it and vote on it, not just do it really quick. And we do have a framework of that study with which to work with it.
Right. And how far, you know, we're could be years ahead of the cart, per se, what's
Yes, sir.
going down. I don't know how much timeline that it lags or takes all
Well,
that.
there's several events that's going to dictate
Yeah.
the timeline, and you know, we'd like to start on as soon as
Yeah.
possible, but obviously funding is going to be an issue, and depending on what the design concept comes back, it could be all the way up to $3.5 million, depending on what we decide. So funding will be an issue. There are several things that we're going to have to get lined out before we fund it, but this is going to be one of our priorities over the next several years.
Do we want to input at all from, if they become vital or parts of it, the other cities?
They are meeting, from what I understand, at least Choctaw and Nakoma Park. I don't know if anybody else is.
I think it's
on
the
the 14th.
14th. Yes, we've got a meeting scheduled. I haven't checked with Chief Claves on how many confirmations we have.
He had 2 as of Friday, Choctaw
2,
and Nakoma
okay.
Park.
Well, I know we may have a lot more skin in the game than they would, but it depends on how they come aboard, so as you might say, want to reach out or ask or some kind of input, would be
Absolutely.
helpful or stuff.
Chief
but
Claves has already sent out 2 letters, I believe.
I just hope, as you would like to see it, that it's community-based, or input and stuff, and it will be a small, so many things, you know, it takes, that community may just be the community of folks that care about animals, so, you know, so you're, pardon?
We found out that's a big community.
Yeah, can be. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Fred.
Hawk.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Just
Oh.
discussion is still on the table.
Go ahead, Mr. Thompson.
Charles Thompson, 10-400 Northeast 4th. I appreciate Councilman Reed pulling this out for discussion because as a citizen, I think the optics could be better. And I recognize that you guys are voting council members, but when we just had a big output of people to show up support for animals and stuff, it would seem to me that the council would be composed of, at least I could think of 2 people off the top of my head, probably 3, Janet Beller works down at the shelter on a regular basis. Adrian runs the shelter, and then Katie got all the support of the community. I would think that those 3 people would be a part of the committee. It just seems like it would seem like it would endear the council to the public if you invite the public, not to just speak and advise, but to actually be a part of the committee because.
They are going to be a part of the community.
But they're not a part of the
I mean,
committee. They're going to be an advisory capacity. I'm saying as an optic thing, it would be nice if you would bring this thing out. When it came out, I sent a letter to Sean because he was on the council, on the committee, and I was like, wow, it just seems like as a citizen, as a resident, it seems like there's a lot more control issues with the council, and we would like to be a part of the council. We would like to, and I guarantee you that Katie Hawk and my wife and Jana, those people are a part of a huge network of people that want to help. They were there when the police department took over the shelter, and that's a whole other story. But they want to help, and it gets them involved, and they have really great ideas. So
That's why I
think
want
it's better.
as
I appreciate
many
it.
people there as possible.
Yeah. So I'm glad it's coming up, but it would be nice if they were actually a part of that committee.
And they will be.
Thank you.
Okay, great. I do agree with you, sir, to have the public involved, anyone that have an interest in animals. And also, as well as I myself, I was very concerned about the animals and the shelter and such, but I did want to say that with the staff, with the selection of council members, that this is in my ward, and it would have been nice that, I would have been at least somewhat asked to be on this particular committee, because I do have an interest.
They will welcome you. Trust me, they will love for you to go and sit in those meetings. I promise you. Ask Councilman Reed. He will love you to be there. They won't
Yes.
lock the door.
Thank you very much, because
We might now.
yes, because anytime you find a council member with things going on in your ward, even if it's the animal shelter, that is consists of my ward, and that I do have a concern, and knowing that I was not informed about the committee selection, and it was done by staff, which I understand staff, they may want to pick or think what they may want, but still, it needs to be at least, somewhat
Allen-
recognized by the
Ms.
council
Allen,
member for that ward. I appreciate
The
it.
staff didn't select them, I did.
Well,
And,
it would have been,
and what I'm trying to do is spread out the workload, and you're gonna have a couple more opportunities coming up to sit on committees.
Well, I
And
underst-
basically, I'm just trying to spread, we're not done with the general obligation bond committee yet. We've gotta bring that back, so just spreading out the workload.
well, I understand, as well as Susan is on the original mile. She's on that committee with the original mile.
Only by default.
It concerns her ward. Am I correct, Susan? That concerns your ward? Okay. That's what I'm bringing,
I
helping
understand.
you to understand.
But
So,
in fairness, Christine, I think I got that assignment because nobody else was in that spot, and but also,
well, I don't think anyone else
it was vacated by
asked.
Daniel, so.
That's
and
because,
it
that's
was
because
just-
you were gone the night that we appointed it. See.
Well, anyway, I just think, sometime acknowledgement about what's going on in the community in your particular ward that you definitely want to be a part of. Thank you.
Move to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion on this item? Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Sustain.
That would be abstain.
Abstain.
Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Abstentions? We have one abstention. Let the record show.
Thank
one
you.
abstention. Thank you. We have one discussion item. Go ahead with that.
This is discussion on the status, condition, progress, or recommendations concerning the latest evaluation of Heritage Park Mall located at 6801 East Reno. We have the staff here and can provide a verbal report to the council regarding the latest condition and situation with the mall. I do see that the mall owner, Mr. Barini, is in the audience. I want to express my apologies for not getting notice to you sooner. That was an error and failure on our part, but I appreciate you being here, and I understand that you probably had to work around some other meetings that were already scheduled. So I guess I would just ask you, is there anything you would like to say to the council on what you've been working on? Would you please come down?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Hanson, and
Just for the record, sir,
Sure.
could you go ahead and state your name and address?
Yes,
so
sir.
We've got it for the record. Thank you.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Barini, could you bring the mic down a little bit
yes,
closer
sir.
to
I'm
you?
short, I know. My name is Ahmad. The last name is Bahraini. I'm the owner of a Heritage Park Mall. My address is 14501 North Western Avenue, Edmond, Oklahoma 73013.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be here tonight. I had to juggle around a couple of the appointments, and I always like to be here. There's no problem in that. I wasn't trying to get away from it. However, I would like to inform everybody, several things happened from the last time which I was here. One is on the front part of the mall, we are done with 275,000 square feet of roof work, which is a huge work, and we are still working on the rest of it. We also ordered material for a Montgomery Ward roof to be replaced 100%. So hopefully by September sometimes we are starting in about 10 days on the Montgomery Ward building because it's a different type of material for that, so we had to order. And within 10 days we start, and it's going to be about approximately no more than 60 days at the most. But we are trying to finish it up within 30 to 45 days on that part. We also brought electrician to go through the entire Montgomery Ward. The electrician okayed all the wirings and all that. We also brought plumber. They okayed everything except had 2 small leaks, which he's going to come back to fix it. We also, for central heat and air, I'm a licensed central heat and air myself, and I brought 2 other people, and between all of us, we indicated that they're also good. The only problem we have is a roof, which has leaks on it, and as I said, that would be started in 10 days, and it takes month and a half or so, somewhere in there. We had a gentleman who came over, which he was looking for that 15,000 square feet. Finally, he showed up because he kept postponing it. So about 10 days ago, he showed up. He would like to get the corner, which is attached to the Sears, about 15,000 square feet from the Sears this way. But of course, there is no contract yet. So, but at least he's seen it and he likes it. So that's a plus. We also there was also interest showed for 58,000 square feet from the state of Oklahoma, and we sent paperwork to them and showing them that we are on board to help them out to make a decision, and we do anything possible to work with them from a price to the improvement and so on. And I also indicate that to them, that we are going to have a brand new roof on the Montgomery Ward, and they were wondering if you have enough parking space. I said, yeah, we have about 28 acres of parking, so you don't have to worry about any parking. You can park wherever you want to park. So that went in on August the 4th, so we have to wait for them. I know their deadline is February of 2018, so as soon as hopefully they'll get to us very quick. And we also we removed pretty much about 90% of all the mold and bad sheetrock which was in a front part of the mall, which is about, I think, size-wise about over 325,000 square feet. We pretty much moved about 300,000 square feet of mold out already, so there's no mold, and there's no leak on the 275,000 feet of it. And we have more dumpsters coming back for the A to Z part, which is on the back end of the mall, sometimes this week, either on Thursday or Friday, and we're gonna start removing some more bad part. The A to Z roof also was fixed, so that's another 28,000 square feet, which in addition to the body of the mall. So as a matter of fact, I was over there about a couple hours ago. Everything is dry, thanks God, finally. So overall, I think we are on the right direction. So if any question.
So do you believe that all of the roof is fixed other than over the Montgomery Ward building?
The complete front part of the mall from Sears all the way to a church, that one is 100% fixed. We have a couple of small areas between the movie theater and and the post office part, which is not fixed, which the material coming in tomorrow, sometimes between 9 and 12. So as soon as the material comes, they'll start the next day to go ahead and repair that one also. When they get done with that one, then they go to the Montgomery Ward roof, which is, I'm hoping, at the latest by Monday. Then the Montgomery roof is gonna take approximately, I'm hoping within a month to a month and a half for a complete, done roof. So it's gonna be a brand new TPO, while the mall is tar and gravel. So there are two different type of roof, so they have to finish that one. Plus the material had to be ordered, so.
So how are you progressing on obtaining a certificate of occupancy?
Oh, and one more. Okay, I'll go back to that one. We are from the report from my electrician, the plumber, and heat and air. The only thing left inside the Montgomery Ward part is we have to replace some of the ceiling tile, but we cannot replace the ceiling tile without putting a brand new roof on, because if I change it, the first rain we're gonna have to replace it again. So I'm hoping by the month of September or towards the end of September, that's what I'm planning. Hopefully our place is good enough to go get the certificate of occupancy for the Montgomery Ward part. As far as the body of the mall goes, we are talking to OG&E to put a new transformer to put the back end of the mall. So the front of the mall, we will have electricity and everything gonna be okay, but the back half of the mall, they removed the transformer a long time ago, so they had to come back and put a new transfer on. And they would like to have somebody in the mall before they put the second transformer on there. So hopefully the gentleman which was here for the 15,000 square feet, which wants the front of the mall attached to a Sears, he'll make a decision hopefully within the next week or 2 or 3. Then as soon as he gets done, we have an income coming into the mall, which he has to use electricity. So hopefully I could take that to Eugenia and say, okay, look, now we have somebody who's going to use electricity, because as it said, we are, you know, if everything is off, nobody's using any electricity. So everything will look much brighter in September. So.
Thank you, Mr. Green, for
Yes,
being
sir.
here this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And, thank you for the update. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Really appreciate it. Ms. Carnes, you want to approach the podium and give us an update on the board?
I appreciate it.
The city issued some citations for various issues at the mall. Some were property maintenance, having to do with the fence and some litter and some broken window panes and so forth. When we had a trial on those 4, perhaps 3, I don't have my full notes, but those 3 or 4, those had been taken care of when we appeared in front of the court at the end of June. The goal in environmental court is to get things brought into compliance. The judge put Mr. Barini kind of on probation, that if he didn't have any more violations of the property maintenance code, those he would be charged a smaller amount than if it just hadn't been done. We then had a trial on the citations for lack of a certificate of occupancy, one on each ownership. The Montgomery Ward's building is owned separately from the rest of the mall. We had a trial on that, and the judge found that those citations were valid and made a finding of guilt. Those were not appealed, and they are now final. The remaining citations had to do with the vehicles in the buildings, the sprinkler system, the hazardous materials in the building. Mr. Barini entered pleas of no contest to 4 of those, and the one with the sprinkler we deferred to see if we could resolve some of these issues about the ceiling tiles. The court ordered that the city be allowed to make 30-day and 60-day inspections. The 30-day inspections have been made. While there has been some progress, we're not able to say with finality that that has occurred. We'll have another review in August 27, I believe it is. And we'll see how that goes. We did advise the court that if things were not accomplished in 60 days, that we would begin issuing citations more frequently. And we will look at doing that. Right now, there are some notices out on some property maintenance issues. They've not gone to violation. It's merely a notice. There's a door that has been damaged, and it leaves the building open, subject to entry. And that was this morning. I don't know, some of this may have been taken care of this afternoon. There's a littering issue. There's a window. A few fairly minor things, but the appearance of the building is very important in order to maintain the neighborhood so that it's not a blight. So we will be talking about whether or not we need to issue other citations before we go to court in August, and then where we are. We do not have to see, we can issue the citations after the 60 days, but without seeing the judge again. We won't have to see him in between that. It's not contingent upon that. So that's where we are. We are trying as best we can to help Mr. Barini get his problems resolved. I think, as I said, compliance is what's important, and I know it's the goal of staff to carry out what we think is your goal, which is to have an attractive, functioning commercial or office location that provides jobs and sales tax and improves the neighborhood and all the things that we would like to see him do. But we're going to have to do something about the extreme, what we see as an extreme fire hazard with the hazardous materials and the overload storage of materials that exist today. You have any questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Kearns. Mr. Tony and Mr. Stroh, do you have anything of value other than what's been discussed to add? Chief? I'm sorry, sir? Are there any questions for Mr. Stroh or Chief Tony?
Yes, sir, go ahead. I've been on the roof. That's not normally part of my inspection, process, but in going through the building as much as I can, I have been on the roof with him. I think that is it fair to say, Mr. Barini, that the roof over the portion of the mall is not all new, that is patched and kind of pieced together, whereas Montgomery Ward's is going to be a full replacement. Is that right?
Even on the patches, it's not the patch. Okay, my apology. Even on the patches, it's not the patch like for 2 feet by 2 feet. We pretty much cut the part completely off and removed the part which was bad, and it is a brand new part. Has a brand new foam underneath it, has a brand new tar on top of it, has a brand new base on top of that, has a brand new tar again on top of it, has a brand new 4-ply on top of it, has a brand new tar on it again, and shine it with the tar. Then we use the old rocks which was on the roof. You cannot get rid of it. The rocks are rocks. I'm saying you move them aside and you bring them back on. So even though it was in a way patched, but it wasn't the patching tar and gravel. You can't just, if the foam is bad, you cannot put tar over the foam. I could bring you all the documentation which I bought material from various roofing company, which exactly how much roofing as a matter of fact, tomorrow I just wrote a check for $10,354. This is for one truckload. So far, we put in 16 truckload of material on this roof. So easily, minimum, not including a labor to anybody, we are in $250,000 just for the past 9 months, going on a roof. And again, it's going to be another $100,000 to $150,000 worth of material going on the Montgomery Ward side within the next 2 weeks. So it is in a way. I don't know, you can say as a patching, but the patching on a hot tar and gravel is not just go in there and patch. If the foam is bad, you have to cut it, you have to remove it, you have to replace it.
Okay, Mr. Tony, Chief Tony, I repeat my question based off of what he's told us. Since you're our eyes and ears, and we're not going over there, is the progress, have you seen progress that he's told us?
I've not been in the mall since the trial on June 28th. My updates have been with him verbally, where a lot of the things that have been citations are not addressed at this point, as far as like the R22 a lot of the things that are in A to Z in Montgomery wards. I've given a list to the council and updates to the council before of the other items that he has done work with. So based on what I've heard here today, I think everything that it is, what he has told me, everything matches up. And with what I've seen from the past, what he's telling me is matching up. But while I'm here, let me just ask you, step on up here. So I'm pleased to hear that the Montgomery wards is going to have a full roof replacement.
Yes, sir.
So in trying to get the mall and all the buildings code compliant, one of the main issues was to get the roof fixed first so that we can get everything else below it fixed and in the dry.
Yes, sir.
Are you confident that the work that you have done on the roofing over the mall is a long-term fix? We're not going to run into problems in the near future.
It will last at least for 30 years because that's what the material I put in there is. They call it the 50-year material. They call it the 50-year material with the warranty of the 30 year. Then you have to apply for a couple other things to get a 50-year. But for all the material we use, we are using a top-notch material. It came from a Crossroad Roofing Supply Company. It also came from West End, which used to be Shelter. So some of the material came from Shelter. Then they sold the roofing supply company. Now they call it West End. So that's on 15th Street, and Crossroad is on Santa Fe. You guys, any of you can pick up a phone and make a phone call to the Crossroad and verify, is he buying material from here for a tar and gravel roof? I'm sure if.
Well, yeah,
I'm sorry? Or you could ask Chief Tony.
When was the work done, sir?
I'm sorry?
When was the work done? When was it done?
It's still in progress.
It's in progress.
Still in progress.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So when do you know have a time frame when it will be
I'm
finished?
hoping probably by the end of this month I should be done with the front, with the body of the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And next month is going to go for Montgomery Ward. And between month to month and a half, it depends. Sometimes you open it up, there's more work than you thought, and sometimes it goes faster. I'm estimating from 30 days to 45 days, no more than 2 months. That's mine. Nobody else can give you any other things until they open up the roof. We do have a lot of the ceiling tiles. The problem is, if I go ahead and put the new ceiling tiles in there right now, anytime it rains, I have to go back in there, remove it, and put
That
the
is
new one in
correct.
there. And that's the reason we did not put the ceiling tile. But as far as the fire sprinkler, all the sprinklers been repaired and done and been green tagged. They're all green tagged. And as far as the safety goes, so, but I'm not saying it's 102% safe, but as far as the safety goes, other than the ceiling tiles.
So what effect would have on the sprinkling system with the rain coming in on it? Would there be a safety issue there, or could?
Are you
Yes.
asking me?
Yes.
Well, I mean, he's in the process of getting the roof fixed.
Okay.
Are you asking if?
Okay, so if it rains and the leaks on where the sprinkling system is, would that cause a problem?
I don't think it's going to have an effect on the sprinkler
Okay.
system, no. And he, like I said, he's in the process of getting the roof fixed, which he has to, he really has to do before he can put the ceiling tiles in. But I've also expressed to him the importance of doing that because the suppression system will not function as it's designed until that the ceiling tiles are in place. And he understands that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, so we're clear, Mr. Tony, or Chief Tony, you explained to us that even though his suppression system is green tagged, correct me if I'm wrong, it is not functioning like it's supposed to, and the analogy you made was an alternator in a car. Is that correct?
The sprinkler system is green tagged. The sprinkler system will operate, okay? But it's not going to function as it's supposed to until everything is in place. You know, just like a car goes through the assembly line, they can do everything they're supposed to do. Individual contractors or workers can put the motor in, they can paint it, they can do everything. But until it has tires on it, it ain't moving. And these guys back here in the line don't have any control on whether the next contractor puts the tires on. So the sprinkler system is up, it's operational, it's green tagged. Now we need to get the ceiling in so that the sprinkler system will function as it's designed. Before he can get the ceiling in, he's got to get the roof done, which is what he is pursuing right now.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Stroh, you have anything to add?
No, the attorney described our stuff perfectly.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I wanted just to make sure everything was clear here, right? Since we're here right now, I want to make sure everything is clear and that we're all on the same page. You know, I appreciate that you're here tonight. I think you're on the right track with the electrical, mechanical, getting all that stuff taken care of. But I wanted just to remind you that the judge has given an order, and you know, I've encouraged you to take those orders seriously, number one. Number two, I did a mock certificate of occupancy inspection for you in the Montgomery Wards building, and I pointed out several things that would have to be done in order to obtain a valid certificate of occupancy. As soon as you have the roof in place and you have the ceiling tiles in, that's a big part of it, but there still are some small things that have to be done before you get, because a certificate of occupancy means the building is ready and it's safe for everybody to come into.
Yes, sir.
And so I just want to refresh you on that there's still other things that need to be accomplished. And then lastly, depending upon the proposed use of that building, you've got the state of Oklahoma possibly looking at something, that's
Yes,
fine. But if you intend to make changes that will affect the sprinkler system or electrical system, anything like that, you still have to submit documents
Yes, sir.
and acquire a building permit
Yes, sir.
at that time. So if there's anything I can do to assist you with that, I'll be happy to do that.
I appreciate it.
Okay, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
No problem, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Mr. Barini. We appreciate you being here.
My apology. Can I, for a couple of items, the city attorney, were saying I received the notices. Number one, the notices was received, I didn't receive it, it was on a door. Today has a date for today. I got to the mall at 1:45, I'm sorry, at 2:45. I already took care of the door which was broken, and the rest of it will be taken care of by the next day or two. And it's not like something which is, everything went up, bad and so on. It's just, everything was good up to 3 days ago. So on Saturday, I was over there, everything was fine. Within 3 days, somebody broke the door, and I already fixed it. That's the first thing, is I'm not going anywhere until that door is fixed. So that door is already fixed, and there's a board all the way for about 45 feet off the ground is coming loose. I couldn't get a hold of anybody to go 45 feet up, but within the next couple of days, that'll be taken care of, then we'll be back from the place we were.
All right,
So,
sir. Thank you very much. We
I
appreciate
appreciate
you
you.
being here.
Mr. Barini, just one
Yes, sir.
one added point. Mr. Tony represents the fire marshal's office, okay?
Yes, sir.
And so he'll have his requirements
Of course.
associated with a certificate of occupancy. But
Yes,
there
sir.
will be other city departments
Of course.
that will also participate in that certificate of occupancy. So
course.
you definitely have to satisfy the fire marshal, but there will be other
Of course, of course.
other departments that will weigh in on your certificate of occupancy.
No problem.
Okay.
I think all of us here working together to get the place better and safer for everybody. I don't see any other way.
That's correct.
So,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you.
No action is actually required on this discussion item. We now move into the new business with public discussion of our agenda. Anybody have anything to bring before the council? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned. We call to order the Midwest City Municipal Authority agenda. We do have a consent agenda. I'm out of Midwest City Municipal Authority. So it's Hospital Authority? Call to order the Midwest City Memorial Hospital Authority agenda. We have 5 discussion items,
Consent.
not according to what I've got right here.
It's right up there.
Okay, I take back everything I said, and we will start with, we are calling
I
to order.
apologize, Mayor.
That's quite all right. That's what I get paid to do, direct traffic. Call to order the Midwest City Municipal Authority agenda. We do have a consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the trustees, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of all trustees or members of the audience wish to discuss an item, be removed and heard in regular order.
Move to approve.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? New business and public discussion. This is the public discussion of our agenda. Anyone have anything to do with the municipal authority, please come forward. Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned. Municipal Hospital Authority or Utilities Authority?
Hospital Authority by mine. No.
Oh, no, I wanna make
No,
sure.
I'm not.
That's all right. We've had a long week. Oh, it's just Tuesday. Never mind.
Justin. so-
Call to order the Midwest City Memorial Hospital Authority. We do have 5 discussion items on this agenda. Go ahead with item number 1. Are they consent?
Yes.
Okay, these items are placed on the consent agenda so the city council or the authority can, by one unanimous consent, approve agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of all council members or authority members, trustees, or the members of the audience which discuss an item, be removed and heard in regular order. Chair would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into the new business public discussion. and we have-
Actually, we have one discussion item, which is
Holy
discussion
cow.
and consideration of action to reallocate assets, change fund managers, to make changes in the statement of investment policy guidelines and objectives. No actions necessary on this item.
Okay, no action necessary on this item. Let me see your script. 'cause
Hey,
my
and Mr.
script-
Mayor, just to make you feel good, ours all say the same things yours do.
Thank you.
I'm looking, yeah, ours,
The chairman.
Mine doesn't, mine's actually.
Mine don't either, no.
Can I have varnished him? I mean, really? Ward 2, or Ward 4, wherever you're from.
By the way, the next one is
3 consent? Where am I going now? Utilities?
Utility Authority agenda.
You have to gavel us out or whatever.
We're hereby adjourned. Holy cow. Did I break it? I'm calling to order the Midwest City Utilities Authority. We do have a consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the trustees, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any item proposed does not meet with the approval of all trustees or members of the audience which discuss an item, be removed and heard in regular order.
move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. Any further discussion? Thank goodness. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Any further discussion for the Midwest City Utilities Authority? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned. Good night, everyone.